Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a 2025 first quarter reading check-in. I watched a couple of videos of people doing it and it seemed like kind of fun-ish. And I did enjoy myself when I was answering the questions I had picked out, but the title is just a little wonky. So we'll see what this ends up being titled, but hopefully you guys enjoy it because, like I said, I had fun coming up with my answers. Basically, it's just like a check-in for the first 3 months of the year. And seeing as how it's the 20th, I'm in a reading slump of reading slumps, and I really don't foresee anything crazy happening within the next 11 days. Like, I really don't think I'm going to come out of this before April, to be honest. I think this is going to be one of those, like, reading slumps that maybe drags on for a little bit, knock on wood, but it is what it is. So I have the questions on my iPad, which is why I will be looking down occasionally, but I'm going to put them on the screen just so you know what I'm talking about. These are only some of the questions I picked out from all of the ones I found online, but if you know, like if you want to do your own reading check-in video and you want some question ideas, I'll put those down below in the description. But let's get right into it. So the first question is, how many books have you read so far? I think as of last night, it's 31 on my Fable. I'm going to put it on the screen somewhere just to confirm. But there was a lot of those more recently have been manga. I have been devouring manga like it's nobody's business. I can usually, so far, I've been able to read one volume in about an hour, hour and a half. I did just get Signs of Affection or a Sign of Affection, but I got an omnibus, so it has volumes 1, 2, and 3 in it. And I'm really curious to see how long that'll take me, but I absolutely love that anime, so I'm excited for the manga. But I digress. I believe it's 30 or 31 books so far. My total for the year, like my reading goal for the year, is just a made-up number. I'm not committed to it. It was just kind of like, pick a number and go for it. So I said 5 books a month. That sounds reasonable in case I have months where I don't want to read, months where I read entirely too much. But that was before my introduction to manga. So it's very possible I could end up reading a lot more than 60 books this year. And it'll be due to the manga, I would imagine. I don't count my DNFs towards my reading goal, like how many books I've read total for the year, only because most of the time my DNFs, I can't speak to the books for the majority of them. Because I usually tend to DNF early on. Sometimes I'll DNF later on in the book, but I still just don't feel comfortable counting them for me personally. That's just me. I know a lot of people who do count DNFs because they did read it at least to some degree. So to each their own. Reading is subjective. That is like the motto here in this corner. The next question is, any least favorite book so far? The Nightingale. The way that just came to mind when I was answering this question, I really disliked The Nightingale. I disliked the characters, all 3 of them. The 2 women, they were like sisters, and the little girl. Disliked all of the characters that I got to meet so far. I DNF'd The Nightingale. I should say that, sorry. I DNF'd The Nightingale around like 200 or 250 pages. I just couldn't. I did not like the characters, and at the beginning, I was like, oh, it's because I'm in my fantasy bag. It's because I'm reading all this fantasy. I read The Revenant, which is a historical fiction. I read The Revenant probably like a week later. Well, I mean, it was a reread. Devoured it. I love The Revenant. I just don't think that I just don't think that The Nightingale was for me, because I also read Night Road by Kirsten Hanna, and I didn't love it. That wasn't like a favorite. It didn't stick out to me or anything like that. Her writing is very bingeable in my opinion. It is very easy to follow. So I'm wondering if maybe I'll try something else and maybe like that book, like the plot of that book and the characters. I have another one. I have like 7 of them actually. But there's another book I have of hers called The Great Alone, I believe. And it's like set in Alaska. And I tend to like wintry type settings for my book. So I'm thinking I will try that one the next time I get an itch to read a historical fiction. I'm going to try that one and see if I like it more. But yeah, I did not like The Nightingale. It was such an annoying book. One of the main characters, Vivian or something like that, she is a mom. And her sister, Isabella, is acting like a brat and endangering her daughter. And Vivian, whatever her name is, I feel like she never really steps up and says, hey, your behavior is endangering my kid, so I need you to stop. I feel like she never does that. She just throws like little hissy fits here and there. Well, the part that I got to at least. And it really irked me. It really irked me. And I've read so many books about amazing mothers who go above and beyond for their kids, or just like guardians in general. And they go above and beyond for their kids to like, I just can't stomach it. There's certain things when it comes to like kids and parents and stuff, I just can't stomach certain, I don't want to say tropes, but like behaviors from fictional characters. I'm like, yeah, no. That's the other thing. Sometimes people hype books up and then it doesn't hit. And that's always very disappointing. That's actually what happened to me with The Nightingale. People hyped that book up so much and it ended up being like a complete flop for me. Okay, so next question is, have you found a favorite for this quarter? The Prison Healer. The Prison Healer. It was between The Prison Healer and Mistborn. And while I loved Mistborn, absolutely loved Mistborn, I feel like The Prison Healer had more of an emotional impact. Like the emotional impact that The Prison Healer had on me at the end is like long lasting. I'm still thinking about it. I'm still thinking about the ending, and I keep trying to convince myself that I made up the ending because it was such a deceptive book. I was not expecting what happened to happen in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, I would have to say The Prison Healer, but Mistborn is like right under there because I really, really enjoyed Mistborn too. And I did obviously have a moment where I lost my mind and I cried for quite a while while reading it. But I don't know, like the emotional impact wasn't as jarring as it was for The Prison Healer. So I'm going to go with that as my favorite book so far. The next one is a book that surprised me. A Love Letter to Whiskey. A Love Letter to Whiskey. Don't get me wrong, I like contemporary romance. I have dabbled in dark romance. You know, I like the romance genre. It's just not my favorite genre. But I picked up A Love Letter to Whiskey. It was a buddy read for February. And I don't know what came over me. I devoured the book. I enjoyed it so, so much. Love Letter to Whiskey is miscommunication trope. There's a lot of like unnecessary angst. Will they, won't they, when, will they? But at the end, it is a romance. So, like, you know they're going to get together, right? Like, you know they're going to end up together. And you know they'll have to go through some shit before they end up together. But A Love Letter to Whiskey had me, like, on the edge of my seat the entire time. It was just so toxic. They were just so toxic with each other, against each other. Like, the dynamic between the two main characters, pure toxicity. And it was just over-the-top dramatics. And I just enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. When it's not your own drama and it doesn't affect you directly, it's really entertaining to read. There's another book that I absolutely love, and it pretty much follows the same vein as A Love Letter to Whiskey. It's A Beautiful Disaster by Jamie McGuire. But same thing. Abby and Travis have the most toxic, codependent, unhealthy relationship two fictional characters could have. Ate it up. I have reread A Beautiful Disaster probably a dozen times. I love that book. And I think A Love Letter to Whiskey is like in the same vein as A Beautiful Disaster. They're probably like the two books that I will read when I want to feed that need for drama. All right, the next question is most read genre. Fantasy. I mean, that's kind of all I've consumed pretty much in the last few months. Has been fantasy, sci-fi. I just started picking up romance books, but I'm in the mother of slumps right now. So I think maybe that's why I'm picking up a bunch of romance, like a bunch of everything, because I'm just trying to find something that'll stick to get me out of the slump. So I have been picking up romance recently. And it'll be interesting because I have a tendency to shift from like fantasy and sci-fi into romance when it gets like nicer out, like beach weather, let's say, but including the spring. So I'm curious if that'll happen to me this year too, because this is going to be the first full year of me creating content and consuming a lot of like book content too. So I'm really interested to see if I will still shift into romance as like the weather gets nicer and the sun stays out longer. But as of right now, like as of March, it's been like all fantasy. I didn't like that book. I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it. Anyways, moving on. I can't stay on track. There's no tracks. The train is just like doing whatever it wants. There's not a track in sight. I don't even think that the engineers thought about putting tracks when they created this train station. It literally is it's just like open territory. And there's like a train just all over the place. Choo choo. I need to control that better. All right, next question is a goal you made that you're succeeding at. I'm gonna have to say reading the things that I want to read. I know that's not like a very, I don't know, like cool goal or whatever, but it was really important to me because I started posting on Book Talk in September of last year. And unfortunately, I did start to fall into kind of only reading the Book Talk darlings, the ones that people were constantly talking about, which is pretty much the same 10 books in rotation. and I wasn't enjoying myself. Like, I was trying to. I tend to always find something good about a book, but I just wasn't really enjoying the things I was reading. And I decided that I wanted to go back to reading the stuff I wanted to read, because there is the pressure as a content creator to read the things that people want to hear about. But I would like to be the type of creator who reads the things that I want to talk to you about. And if you are interested, great. Here's a review of X book. Here's me going off about X book. If you don't like that and you want to talk about the other books, there's lots of creators out there that are talking about it already. I don't have to be part of that as well. And for me, that's been really important, is kind of reminding myself that I get to choose the type of creator I'm going to be, and I get to choose the type of content I'm going to create, and that's been really fun. So yeah, those are the questions I picked. I will put them in the description in case you want to do your own version of this, but I literally just Googled first quarter booktube questions or something like that, and I got like a bunch of different results, and I picked out of that. Thank you guys for coming again and again and watching the videos. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me, and I have come to really appreciate and enjoy my booktube community, my little corner over here that I've got. It's been a lot of fun, and I like getting to talk to people in the comments. Like, I've gotten some book recs, I've gotten some manga recs. I just am really enjoying booktube is what I'm trying to say. And I'm done talking. I'm so sorry. You guys know I like to the whole time. But anyways, I will see you guys for the next video. And as always, happy reading.